please.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the May 7th Fishers Town Council meeting. We have a brief agenda tonight. We do have some announcements. Renee, do you have an announcement for us, please?
I do. The Bicycle Pedestrian Plan Community Forum, the Town of Fishers is developing a bicycle and pedestrian master plan to increase the safety and mobility of residents who bike and walk within the community. A second community forum will be held on Wednesday, May 14th from 6 to 8 p.m. at Launch Fishers. The forum will provide another opportunity for all of us to know what you think. The Bicycle Pedestrian Master Plan will engage Fishers residents and community leaders to provide recommendations that seek to improve existing bicycle and pedestrian circulation within neighborhoods, as well as connections with key destinations. The plan's recommendations will focus on facility improvements, but will also address policy and program updates to support and encourage bicycle and pedestrian travel. Those who are not available to attend the community forum on Wednesday, May 14th from 6 to 8 p.m. are encouraged to offer comments via the town's website at www.fishers.in.us or by contacting Sue Harrison in the Community Development Department at harrisons@fishers.in.us.
Thank you, Renee. Mike, do you have an announcement for us?
Yeah, we're asking for a request for proposal for community art projects. The Town of Fishers and the Arts Council are seeking proposals from Indiana artists who would be interested in creating a work of functional art which may be used as bike racks in downtown Fishers. Town will fund 3 bike rack community art projects under the request for proposals, which was released last week. These community art projects support the key directives of the Nickel Plate Code, which encourages the creation of a vibrant, mixed-use area with a unique sense of place. These artworks will also further implementation of the Fishers Community Art Master Plan, which was established as a long-term vision and policy framework to facilitate the thoughtful growth and placement of public art within our community. All proposals are due at noon on Thursday, June 12th, with the installation of the artworks targeted for fall of 2014. For further information, please contact Sue Harrison in the Community Development Department at harrison@fishers.in.us.
Very good. Thank you, Mike. David, do you have an announcement for us?
Yeah, John. Construction will kick off on 2 downtown road projects the week of May 19th. Maple Street is slated for reconstruction and drainage improvements, while Fishers Corner Boulevard will be extended from Leonard Road to Municipal Drive. During construction, traffic will be maintained and the businesses will remain open for business. Be on the lookout for directional signage to get you to your destination, and learn more about the road construction on the Fishers website or follow the Twitter feed, which is Drive Fishers. And again, these are road improvements that are nearby Handles. That's probably the best location that people will know.
All right. Thank you, David. I will do the last announcements regarding the Central Green kickoff. The town is excited to announce that improvements to the Central Green located in front of Town Hall will begin Monday, May the 12th, 2014. The Central Green will be a beautifully landscaped pedestrian green space with 200 trees, perennial plants, limestone benches, and future public art spaces for Fishers residents and visitors to enjoy. The Central Green will include 41 new on-street parking spaces available to the public. The Central Green will be a great addition to the Nickel Plate District, where residents and visitors can picnic, gather with friends, or spend some time relaxing at a great outdoor space. Central Green is scheduled to open October 2014. Please visit the town's webpage to see renderings and plans for the Central Green project. And I also understand Tom Dickey has some additional details to share regarding this project. Welcome, Tom.
Thank you.
Always.
Yeah, I'm Tom Dickey with the Community Development Department. Thank you for this incursion into your announcements. But I want to just show you a couple things, and also we'll be tweeting out these this evening and getting them on social media. They're drawings we've seen before, but I don't think they've really been focused on yet. This first drawing is the rendering of the improvements to the site. Town Hall to the top. Parallel or angled parking along the inside of the green on each side, lined with trees. This new lane that'll cut through here and connect into the garage, and then celebrating Veterans Plaza there in the center. And then just a couple more renderings. You can see it from a bird's eye view. That project to the left is the exact rendering of the depot, which is under construction, and you see how this really, as we've talked before, frames Town Hall then to the north. And really, actually, you'll see the connection between the front door of Town Hall and Veterans Plaza, which is very intentional in that design. So you can stand on the steps of Town Hall and be directed right down the green, your eyesight towards that memorial, much like the Washington Memorial, or the Washington D.C. Memorial, but on a much smaller scale, obviously. And then just one more rendering, and this is like you're standing essentially at the entrance to the town court building to the right. You just be kind of looking to the northwest at the depot when it's completed, and then the new central green. And one of the most exciting things I think about this project, this you may remember, this is the pamphlet that the Veterans Committee used in raising the funding. Thanks for that. Raising the funding to start Liberty Plaza. This project and this design looks very familiar. We after our design was about 50% done. We met with the group and showed them our design, and some of the members of our team hadn't seen this, and the veterans said, "Yeah, we love your design," because they opened up theirs and said it looks just like what we were thinking when we installed Veterans Plaza. So we were pretty excited about that. Importantly, Veterans Plaza, as you know, does not have the water fountain component, which is a key part of the design. This project does have that included in it and is funded. And so you'll see in October, November, that the black slabs of marble will come to life with the water coming up out of it and running over the top. And then we're also, with this project, upgrading some of the lighting that has quickly aged on that memorial. So you'll see that updated. And bricks, just if anybody's wondering, the hardscape around there, a lot of people paid to have their names put on. Those are all protected, and so none of that stuff is changing. We are adding benches around the monument, which again it was shown in this drawing, so that people can spend time right there at the monument versus having to stand there. So I think we'll all be excited to see this come to fruition and really plug Veterans Plaza into that whole green as it transitions to Town Hall. That's all I got. Thank you, John.
Thank you, Tom. Just one announcement that actually isn't on here. Just wanted to, as you're all well aware, we had an election yesterday. I'm not going to talk about who won and who didn't win. I'm just going to talk about the process. First of all, voter turnout was disappointingly low, which was disappointing to me, and I'm sure everybody in this room. But secondly, certainly want to commend everyone who ran for whatever office, because it does take a tremendous effort to put together a campaign, to run a campaign, to go out and solicit votes and put yourself out there in front of the community. So here to commend everybody as a winner in their own way for being a part of the election process. So congratulations to everybody. So now we're off to the November election. So we do have a presentation for an award, and I'm actually going to come down to the main microphone if you don't mind. And Gay, could you join me, please? I figured we'd come down here front and center, and this is an award, Gay, that you have won year after year after year. And as a CPA in public practice for 30 years, I certainly can appreciate accuracy and excellence in financial reporting. Having that in any whether it's a municipality or a business, is very important. And with the many years that you've received this certificate of achievement, says a lot about your office and what you do. So I'm here to present to Gay Cordell the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting presented to the town of Fishers. So congratulations. Sure. Thank you. We also have a proclamation this meeting for Arbor Day. David, would you read the proclamation for us, please? If you don't have it, I've got it right here for us. Thank you.
Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees, and whereas the holiday called Arbor Day was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska, and whereas the town of Fishers has expressed its intent to participate in the Tree City USA program following standards outlined by the Arbor Day Foundation, and whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, lower our heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife, and whereas trees increase property value and enhance the economic vitality of business areas and beauty of our community, and whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal, and whereas on Friday, April 25th, 2014, so we're a little bit after that, the community gathered at the Nickel Plate District Amphitheater to celebrate Arbor Day. Now, therefore, we, the Fisherstown Council, do hereby proclaim that April 25th, 2014, was a day for the community to celebrate Arbor Day in the town of Fishers, and that Fishers Parks and Recreation will continue to celebrate our natural resources as it continues its never ceasing mission to treasure, utilize them for the good of the community.
Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you very much. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
John, I would move to approve the consent agenda, which consists of the approval of previous meeting memorandum for April 21st, 2014 regular session. Resolution 050714, request to approve resolution transferring town funds. Item C, request to approve contract change order. Item D, request to approve off-site drainage easement to serve platted sections of Thorpe Creek development.
Thank you, Mike. I have a motion by Mike. Do I have a second?
I'd second and ask to pull 5C. I just want to ask a question about at the end.
I'll amend my motion to drop item C off the motion for approval.
Okay. We have a motion to approve with the pulling item 5C, and I have a second by David. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, aye. Ayes have it. Thank you very much. Moving on to item 6. Request to approve a resolution adopting the fiscal plan regarding the annexation of approximately 3.1 acres, currently known as the Johnson property.
Good evening. My name is Kevin Stutz. I'm a planner in the Community Development Department. As many of you are aware, the last few months we have been working on the Johnson rezone that was approved a few months ago. As a part of that rezone request, Mr. Johnson did agree to voluntarily annex into the town of Fishers. As we've worked through that process, the last few meetings, most recently on April 21st, Town Council did open it up to the public with no one speaking at that time. And tonight, before you for the final stage of the annexation, which would be the adopting of the fiscal plan, and then also item 7 would be the actual ordinance for the Johnson annexation property. So with that said, I'm here to answer any questions you may have and would ask that items 6 and 7 be approved.
So we're combining items 6 and 7 tonight. We can combine those and pass them in one. Okay. Any questions for Kevin? Do I have a motion to approve items 6 and 7 together?
I move to approve resolution 050714A and ordinance 031714.
Thank you, Mike. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion by Mike, second by Renee. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you very much,
Thank
Kevin.
you.
Moving on to item 8, request to approve an ordinance amending Briarwood PUD regarding the concept layout and development of standards. Second and third reading. Good evening, Adam.
Good evening. For the record, I'm Adam Zaklakowski, a planner with the Community Development Department. As stated, for this particular item, this is a PUD text amendment to the Briarwood PUD. As part of this text amendment, excuse me, it would be known as Oakhurst. And just to refresh your memory on this project, of course, it's located in the southeast corner of the town. It's near 101st Street in Cynthiana. As you can see, it is 2 areas of farmland right now, surrounded by rural residential development. To the south is where Cynthia Ann Park South would be located, and then to the west is where the Steeplechase subdivision would be located. This was heard back on March 17th by council for first reading, and then it went to the Plan Commission on April 15th. Just to, again, refresh your memory, and for those who may not have been at that meeting, the project is a little over 30 acres. The original PUD request had 50 lots. As part of this amendment, it would drop it down to 49 lots. The reasoning behind it is the developer would like to implement a lot less infrastructure in association with that project. One noteworthy point is that there would be 1 point of access provided now. Previously, there were 2 points. However, this still meets the requirements of the fire department, and Ryland Homes would be the home builder. Again, you can see the concept plan back in 2012 on the left, and the revised concept today with a simplified street and lot layout pattern. So with that, if you have any questions or comments, I'd be more than happy to answer them for you. The developer is here as well. Thank you.
Any questions for Adam?
Adam, I think it's on here. It's pretty self-explanatory. And before we had several lots that were on 101st that had 3-sided, and then now we have a pretty good mix, or it looks like basically everything on 101st is going to be a 4-sided brick wrap.
That's correct.
Okay. And actually, yeah, everything there, and then the 2 lots to the north, it looks like.
Yeah, it's a 4-sided brick wrap. It's not the entire first floor. It's 36 inches plus a wainscot. And then as part of that, they also need to upgrade the rear facades of the home with some different methods of articulation that are outlined in the PUD.
Okay. Any other questions for Adam?
I do, I had a question. Was this the one, Chief Arusa, where we asked about 2 entrances going in and out of that, and the 50-foot or the 50-lot subdivision dictated there be 2, and then now that there's only 49 homes, there's only 1? I don't recall if we revisited that since the last time we heard about this, but if you could speak to that.
Yes, ma'am, that's correct. We have an ordinance 92.06.01 that requires 50 or more homes have 2 ways. This goes below that threshold at 49, so we're comfortable with that.
Okay.
Okay. I know that it's gone through Planning Commission. Everything's gone positive there. I know there's the petitioner is here as well. Any input from the public? None? Okay. Do a motion to suspend the rules and pass on second reading.
John, I would move that we suspend the rules and approve ordinance 031714A on second reading.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion by Mike, second by David. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you, Adam. Moving on to item 9, request to approve a rezone for the property located at 11020 Allisonville Road.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Dale Davis with the Community Development Department, and bringing before you tonight for a first reading is a rezone request for mid-stake truck equipment. The property is located at Allisonville Road and Easy Street, and the rezone is needed because they wish to redevelop this northern portion of the property. There's currently outlots and an old home there that serve as storage and their offices. They wish to replace these structures with a large showroom maintenance facility, which I'll show you later. But to do it under the current C1 zoning, that's too much of an enlargement. So they are requesting to go to a C3 with use restrictions. Currently, they're approved all these uses under C1. But in going into the rezone, they only want these specific uses. So the retail, the low, the medium, the automotive service, the office uses, those would remain. And the rest of the uses would all be stricken. This is the site as it currently exists, looking from the south in the top picture and looking from the north in the lower picture. And this is the proposed building. That east elevation will be facing Allisonville, and the south will be facing an existing building on the site and the easy street. But there's a landscape kind of easement that's in place from the condo complex. And this is what they're thinking about for color. This is only a draft because it hasn't gone through technical review yet, but this is along the lines of what they're thinking. Would be CMU and standing seam metal roof and fiber cement. So with that, staff would recommend holding the first reading and forwarding this to Plan Commission. Mike and Bill, our petitioners, are here, and they asked if they could speak briefly before you tonight as well. So I'd like to turn it over to them.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
Welcome. If you could state your name and address for the record, please.
William Bolander, 12115 Volcanic Rock Drive. That's
you.
the Big Island at Fishers. The drawing indicated that you just looked at was a conceptual drawing, hoping that we would be able to follow through with all the ordinances, making sure that it looks better than what's there now. Obviously, there's 4 or 5 buildings there that will come down, and we'd like to install this building to accommodate all the storage and showroom, and thus alleviating a majority of the items out along the street. So that's pretty much all I have. You have any questions?
No?
I do, but
Okay.
was anyone else going to speak?
Was another owner wanting to speak as well? You said both of them were here. They're going to give you both a chance to talk, so.
Mike Eby, Mid-State Truck Equipment. I've had the company for about 33 years. We've been at that location approximately 55 years. And we've slowly gotten better and better and better through the years, but it's time to make a major renovation. It's time for us to grow and to kind of catch up with the view of the city, I guess, to kind of put it realistically. We want to clean up what we've got. We've been operating pretty inefficiently with an office, 4 different warehouses, plus some outside storage buildings. And our purpose is to move a lot of that storage inside the new warehouse facility that is also a service facility, showroom and offices, and take the existing shop that's there and reskin it and turn it into a warehouse. Basically, we're eliminating a total of 4 buildings and 4 storage trailers. So I think it'll make a better scenario for everybody.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any questions for petitioner or Dale?
Yeah, I understand your concept. You're looking to take what you have out there now and kind of pretty it up a little bit. I live near there, and I see those plows up there in front of the street. And I think I applaud you for that. I guess my question is for staff. I'd like to know, there's a PUD just south of that, I believe, and I'd like to know what that PUD looks like, what's permitted there, and this is going to be C3. Is there any other C3 in the area? And they don't have to answer now, but I mean, for second reading, and I suspect, since I'm on the Plan Commission, you might bring it up there as well, but that's my question. I mean, I understand what you're trying to do. You're trying to take your existing business, but you're opening it up to doing a lot of other things outside of what you're doing today, and that's where I have some questions.
And sir, there's no expectation of an answer tonight, but certainly
No, I
just to
don't
raise a question.
I don't need an answer tonight.
Okay.
We're just first reading, and so, I would think that that would be discussed in the Plan Commission, may even be a question they'd have, but then when it comes back to second reading, I would think there'd be some answers to that.
Very good. Any other questions?
Yep, real quick, John, it's On the zoning map, and you guys can answer this later, but it looks like, so you have a rectangular ownership, and the front is C1, and then the back, it looks like it's R2, so you own, I don't know if it's 2 lots or essentially it's 1, but it's got a double zoning. And just for the record, go ahead.
I would like to clarify that, if I could get the computer back on. Yes, this red highlighted area is the entire lot, but it actually has 2 zonings on it.
Okay,
So there's a residential portion in the back and a commercial portion in the front. This rezone only deals with the commercial portion. The residential portion is not being touched.
okay. And that kind of leads to the second, which you've already answered. So there's a definable limit, which essentially is kind of the color change here. So everything's in the front, and then anything in the back, the zoning would stay the same. And
Yeah,
I just
they
ask
have,
because I know there's some residences there.
We have a legal description just for
Okay.
the commercial portion.
Okay.
Thank you, David.
So is this going to be a PUD mixed?
No, this will be like the Johnson property was. This will be a C3, but not all of the C3 uses will be allowed.
So you'll have residential in C3?
No, that has been stricken.
Okay.
Do I have a motion to have first reading?
So moved.
We've had first reading. Go on to Planning Commission. Good luck, gentlemen. Thank you for coming in tonight. If you folks don't mind, I know some folks in the audience, I think, are here for item 14, and to allow them to maybe get home earlier, if you don't mind, we'll move this up to agenda item right now, if we don't mind. So item 14, which is a request to approve an ordinance to amend Chapter 96 of the Town Codes of Ordinances regarding the policies and procedures for athletic field use. And this is a first reading tonight.
That is correct. Scott Fadness, Town Manager for the record. Tonight before you, we've had several conversations on this particular public policy issue. Tonight is the manifestation of those conversations in an ordinance revision to our field use ordinance, which again deals primarily with our youth athletic fields. So what we've realized is that the original intent and spirit of the agreement between sports organization and the town was to provide recreational youth activities. And so what we've seen with the evolution of youth sports and things like that, a higher commitment and intensity with certain sports. For instance, in particular with this issue, soccer, travel soccer, has increased its costs significantly in terms of payroll. It has trained staff and things of that nature. There seems to be a strong desire in the market for that type of activity. And so we were faced with a question as to whether or not the current ordinance would allow for that type of activity on our parks. After review with legal and conversations with the council, we came to the realization that it did not. And so although we would like to see all of these opportunities still avail themselves in our community, we had to take a look at this ordinance and amend it as such. So tonight, this first draft does a couple things. One, it still adheres to the traditional sports relationship, sports in the town of Fishers. Sports will continue to be the provider of youth recreation in our community. It will remain the requirements of a 501c3. The kids have to be from Fishers, and there's also some language in there regarding what the maximum amount a particular trainer, coach, anyone outside the sports administration would be paid, and that would be reviewed by the council on an annual basis. There's another component that we've added in this ordinance, and that's called what we would say an affiliate organization. And that is for those organizations that have decided that they want a higher level of technical skill and coaches and things of that nature to bring their play to another level. That tends to deal with a smaller group of residents here in Fishers and youth, and begins to look a little bit more like a business. And so as we looked at this, we wrestled with the public policy issue, we decided that those individuals would not fit under the current sports ordinance, and so we've defined them as affiliates. Now, what does it mean to be an affiliate? As an affiliate, you have to pay for the field usage. And so the maintenance of the fields that we have, our parks, they will be responsible for on an annual basis. Now, I will tell you this, we've had several conversations with the sports organization. We've had several conversations with travel soccer. This is just the ordinance. This is the empowerment document, if you will, for us to enter into specific agreements with different organizations, youth organizations that are outside the scope of sports. There are a number of suggestions that we received today from sports on some potential amendments to this. To be honest with you, we have not had a chance to review those and look as to whether those should be incorporated into this or not. So tonight, I would appreciate, so we can keep the process moving, to have first reading on this, but then we will email out what those recommendations are. If legal counsel and myself take a look at it and we need to incorporate those things, we will, in second reading, we will point those out to you. I'd be happy to entertain any questions at this point.
Any questions for Scott? All right. Any motion to have first reading?
Oh, one thing,
go
John,
right
I'm
ahead.
sorry. One other item that will be changed on here, this agreement contemplates the use of Brook School Park. It is actually not going to be in here. It's only going to be Cumberland Park. They will be using Brook School Elementary soccer fields, and that will be a separate agreement with the schools.
Thank you, Scott. Again, any questions?
The only question, I think we covered this in a work session previously, but there's still a hierarchy where sports controls, and
Yes.
then an affiliate member would be after that.
Yeah, that's a great question,
Schedule.
David. To point out, sports still will maintain the hierarchy of scheduling the fields. They take first priority. So sports every year will schedule their fields and their needs to meet our recreational needs for the community, and whatever's left, they will work with the affiliate organizations in order to accomplish their needs as well.
Very good. Thank you, David. Do I have a motion to have first reading?
So moved.
All right, we've had first reading. Thank you. Appreciate your suggestions today. We'll certainly incorporate those, and I wanted to cover this now. I know you had some folks in the audience that may want to go home and be with their families, so have a great evening. Moving back to our agenda, item 10, request to approve a resolution dedicating right-of-way located in Fishers Corner subdivision near Landed Road and Commercial Drive from Fifth Third Bank to Town of Fishers for road construction. Tom?
Development Department for the record. This particular request relates to the road project that you read the announcement on earlier, the extension of Fishers Corner Boulevard from essentially where it ends today at Lantern Road through the municipal complex. There are also a few improvements that go east of Lantern Road, a few angled parking spots that are just north of the Jaeger yellow existing building, and some curbs move and the lanes shift a little bit. And so as part of that, today that road is a private road owned by Jaeger Properties. As you go from west to east, Jaeger Properties, the shopping center owner to the north, and Fifth Third Bank to the east. And over the last number of months, we've been talking with those owners, and they've dedicated that right-of-way to the town at no cost. And so tonight, before I think 3 of these resolutions where you're accepting that right-of-way. This first one, you're accepting right-of-way that is essentially where Commercial Drive or Fishers Corner Boulevard exists today, as it's adjacent to Fifth Third Bank. And you have this in your packet, but you can see it right there. So I'd ask if you have any questions, I would be glad to answer them. Otherwise, I'd ask for approval of the resolution accepting this right away.
Any questions? And we can combine item 10 and 11 together and pass them.
Yeah, I think so.
There you
Yeah,
go.
so they're the same thing. They're all accepting this right away. This piece, the piece to the north, and the piece to the west, which is owned by Jaeger Properties.
Great. Any questions for Tom? Do you have a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve R 050714B and C.
Motion by David. Do I have a second? Second by Mike. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Ayes
Thank
have
you.
it. Thank you. Moving on to item 12, request to approve a resolution dedicating right-of-way along 136th Street, which is part of the Sedona Woods subdivision. Good evening, Jeff.
Good evening, Jeff Hill with the Engineering Department. Here before you with a similar right-of-way dedication, a little bit different circumstances. This is frontage along Sedona Woods that was inadvertently omitted being dedicated as right-of-way through the normal platting process. It's located on or about 113-180 East 136th Street. When originally developed, this was, like I say, omitted from the plat. Boomerang Development wishes to dedicate this right-of-way, which was intended as part of the original project, to the town. They prepared the appropriate documentation dedicating the 40-foot half right-of-way along the north side of 136th Street, and respectfully request approval of resolution to do so tonight.
Thank you, Jeff. Any questions for Jeff?
Other than say I appreciate the dedication.
Great. Entertain a motion to approve, please.
I would move to approve Resolution 050714D.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Motion by Mike, second by David. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Moving on to item 13.
Thank you.
Request to approve resolution of Fishers Town Council approving compliance of benefits forms for 2014 for tax year abatements. Good evening, Tim.
Good evening, Tim Gropp, Assistant Director of Economic Development, Community Development Department. This is the yearly process to review the companies that have received tax abatements and make sure that they're substantially complying with the commitments made on their SB1 forms when the abatements were first given. This year we changed the process a little bit and we consolidated all the CF1 filings of the companies that staff felt were in substantial compliance and moving towards their goals. You can see a synopsis of those abatements above. This includes Comcast of Willow Grove, which is a real property, Hamilton Trace Properties, Cardon, which is a real property tax abatement. Nexus Valve has both real property and personal property. Clark Engineering has real property and personal property. First Internet Bank Corp is a vacant building deduction, and OSSIP Optometry is a vacant building deduction. This is all the abatements we have outstanding except for one, which is DECA Financial Services. There's also one outstanding commitment to First Internet Bank for a speculative building at a future time. A couple of quick highlights. I'll switch over to the numbers. All have retained the jobs they've committed to, and all except OSSIP have invested more than the committed investment in real property, and OSSIP has purchased the property and is starting their renovation shortly, so they should easily meet their commitment. That was just passed earlier this year. All the total salaries have increased from last year except OSSIP, which again will happen by the end of the year. And 3 of the 6 have exceeded their new job goals, and the rest have made progress towards those new job goals over the previous year, as you can see on the sheet. Next year will be the final year for Hamilton Trace, First Internet Bank, and OSSIP Optometry as well. A couple notes on these. Comcast has had a recent announcement regarding the sell-off of their cable services to Charter Communications and the creation of a new spin-off company. I've spoken to their local representative, Matthew Kelly, who's the manager of external affairs with Comcast. He assured the town that the Fishers Customer Service Center will continue as usual after that agreement is taken care of. So he will be meeting with Scott, Tom, and I in about a month to give us more details on that. But he assured us that the Fishers Call Center will not be affected by that merger, or sell-off, I should say. And another note is with Nexus Valve. I had originally submitted a document. I had a clerical error, so you should have all received the updated document and the one that you have in your packet. I had one number wrong in my report for the personal property commitment, so that has been corrected, updated in the system, and is correct on the sheet you see up here as well.
Tim, I'm sorry, the one that you just laid in front of us tonight, this is the correct one?
Correct.
Okay.
And that has been
All right,
updated
okay.
online as well.
Okay.
Any questions for Tim? Do I have a motion to approve?
So in summary, Tim, the ones that you have noted for tonight, everybody is meeting the expectations.
Yeah, everybody's
You've clarified here on the.
correct. Everyone's meeting or has made progress towards their goals. So none of these before you have still have, if it's still in the red, which means that they haven't quite gotten to the goal, we've seen progress in all those categories as well, and they still have time to meet them. But everybody's moving in the right direction. We feel confident that all these companies are doing what they committed to at the abatement time.
And then you mentioned DECA too. That's a separate item which will happen on a separate timeline.
Yeah, we'll be coming to the council to address the DECA financial situation, which is the only outstanding abatement that hasn't been addressed tonight. We'll be doing that separately at next council meeting.
Okay.
Very good.
I'd make a motion to approve R050714E.
Motion by David. Do I have a second?
Second?
Second by Renee. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
Moving on to item 15, request to approve 2014 Neighborhood Matching Grant Committee Fund recommendation.
Good evening, Council. I'm Nathan George, Deputy Town Manager. If you don't mind, maybe I can talk about these two together, tree matching grant and neighborhood matching grant.
We'll do 15 and 16 together.
Okay, thank you. The neighborhood matching grant is a program that the town initiated from Councilmember Tim Lima back in 2000 to help beautify the surrounding perimeters of neighborhoods. Since that time, the town has provided they provided a lot of money. I don't remember the number off the top of my head, but we have budgeted $35,000. This year, we received a total request of $27,831. And that's the first time we've had unusual to have a little bit lower. We analyzed that. I sat down with our public works director, public relations director, and we discussed that. We actually had more advertising than we had in the past. We think it might have just been a long, hard winter because most applications didn't even come into the day they were due. And the other thing, we pushed it back pretty far. Maybe we got a little too ahead of the game. I don't know, but we'll look at that for next year. However, we still met as a committee. We had a full turnout. Also, Tom Dickey, our Director of Community Development, and Eric Pethel, Director of Public Works, were both on that committee, which is very helpful to have them there. We went through the situation, reviewed every single application. Every single project was good, and the recommendation committee recommends the council fund those fully. The two I wanted to point out, because we had a little additional money, the committee directed me to take a look at two specific organizations and specific reasons, and I've contacted them. The first was Orchard Civic Association at Sunblest. Essentially, they have a tree area they wanted to put in trees, and the committee reminded us that they had funded these trees before, but they had died. And the problem is where they're situated, they can't get water to them very well. So the committee asked two questions. Could they provide a larger caliper or a larger tree to maybe start a little sooner, or could they have some way of watering these? So I went back to the neighborhood, and what they came up with is the caliper tree wouldn't aesthetically fit for what they were doing. However, they did have an option of watering. Now, we don't normally pay for maintenance, but because of the funding and because the situation is a past problem, I'd recommend the council to help fund this watering with these tree, what do they call it? Anyway, the sack that goes around the tree gator, I guess they're called, to water these for 24 weeks, and that would be it, the town's obligation. The second is the Wildwood Estates Homeowners Association. Their project was very good. Also, they have a problem with their brick wall. It needs to be recapped and so forth. Because of the extra funding, the recommendation committee asked that I talk to them. They were definitely willing. In both cases, they went back to their boards and made sure they had the additional matching funds to do this. They were willing to do the brick. They wanted to do the brick wall, so they put a proposal in. Now, I made a couple of recommendations. I made two recommendations. Either, in this case, the rebuilding the wall would go over the typical $5,000 capped maximum. However, in this situation, because we have additional funding, because it's a very specific item, I recommended going above that and paying for half. The other option is to simply cap it at the $5,000. And the third option, of course, go with the original. Or, of course, none is also an option. But so essentially, those are the major areas that we discussed, and I researched and follow up. The other is the tree matching grant. I'll just go over that briefly, and then I can take questions or further discussion. The tree matching grant was started 2 years ago, I think, under Councilmember David George, as an idea to help beautify our neighborhood and our community once again with trees in this case and provide green spaces. One of the differences, or help beautify green spaces, one of the differences is that the individual applicants can apply, not just neighborhoods. It can be either or. This year we had $20,000, and we had a total submitted recommendation requesting $38,000, so almost twice what we had budgeted. The tree matching grant committee met and reviewed these very carefully and came up with the best recommendations they felt would be very good projects for the town, and have recommended funding them up to that $20,000. So regarding the few extra $1,000 we have in the budget, because we have $35,000 neighborhood matching grant, I've met with our Parks Director, Tony Elliott, and we're not able to identify an area for this. We felt like the tree matching grant was sufficient. I also discussed it with the department heads and the town manager, and we felt at this point this is the best recommendation, unless council has other input. So.
Thank you, Nathan. Any questions for Nathan?
I'm sorry, go ahead, David.
Go ahead.
Question I have, so I like the creativity of someone asking to help rebuild the wall. Is that something we would consider going forward as well? Because I know in our neighborhood as well, that's an issue. I mean, it's only a 14-year-old neighborhood, and those walls are in dire need of repair. So is that something this particular grant would consider going forward?
Yes, actually, that it is set aside for repairs of walls. It's essentially for everything on your perimeter that is generally a non-maintenance item. So it's walls, it's putting in trees, it's putting in permanent shrubs. It's even putting in sod that's going to be there permanently. It's generally not for things like mulch or perennial or annual flowers, excuse me. That's the way I talked about the water. That's not typically what we pay for. However, with the case I've explained, on the wall, absolutely. You know, we get the word out. Neighborhoods, we'd love to see more of them. This year we could have actually funded. The nice benefit to those who did apply this year, they actually recommended full funding, so they're very beneficial for those who actually put the work into it.
Sure.
Yes, that's great. That's exactly what they're for.
Okay.
So, and lighting, there's different options it can be used for, lighting, all kinds of things.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So Nathan, the tree grant, that you've obviously got enough to, or more than that. So from last year to this year, you've got a lot more people coming in, so that's great. It sounds like the word's getting out.
We do. It's getting out. 3 years ago, we moved everything to social media rather than the old mailers, and we've been very successful at that. Actually, I think it went in, it was at least 2. It was back in the fall, September. It went into the Town Talk. Also, we had a February, and I think we might have had it in December as a little mention in the end. So all the social media avenues, website, everywhere. Plus, we take when it gets closer, we get a lot of questions. Neighborhoods already have us on their sites, so same with the tree matching.
Okay. And then on the neighborhood matching grant, let's just say that we do the uncapped, so that's $32,000, so you've still got a few thousand or 2,500. And then does that go to what you were talking about on the orchard, or is there a...
Actually,
the watering?
Let me turn that page if you don't mind. I tried to make it as easy to read here as possible. In white is the original, and then I highlighted the additional portion in green, which includes the original. So if you take a look at Orchard Sunblast, you'll see above it's the original request at $927, then right below it is the original plus the additional, so $1853. And then if you turn to the next page, same thing with Wildwood. The original is in just the plain white at a request of $2,737. The recommendation I had made was in green, which is the total project, $6,737, and then capped would be in the yellow of $5,000. So if you look down below, the original full request in the black shaded area would be $27,831. If you went with my first recommendation, it'd be a total cost of $32,757, and if you cap Wildwood, it'd be a total cost of $31,020. So essentially, depending on what your recommendation, you'll have a few thousand, and we would prefer just to roll that back into our admin budget. We have plenty of other expenses that would be helpful to cover that with.
Okay, no, that answers it, thanks.
Okay. Sorry I didn't explain that sooner.
No, that's fine.
So let me ask you, were there some communities or neighborhoods that came in on the neighborhood matching grant program that were not funded because of their request was not sufficient or didn't meet the criteria, or was it?
Not this year. It was 100%.
So everybody that came in
everyone
requested?
Came in. Committees recommended funding. That's correct. So. A process we go through, we started last year, maybe the year before. When the applications come in, I personally go through them and we gather any information and we have them resubmit, because even though it's a competitive grant, most of these people are volunteer people putting in, so we want to make sure they can get everything together. We get that put together, and so in most cases, everything is to the committee by the time it's ready to go. We had problems in the past where some information was left out, but at any rate, I think the committee does a good job going through those. And so that was a long answer to your question, Mike. Yes, fully funded.
Thank you, Nathan.
You're welcome.
Do I have a motion to approve item 15 and item 16?
So moved.
Motion by Mike, second by David. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
I think if you're going with my recommendation, the total amount would be at $32,757.42.
Very good.
$32,757.
So you're going with the uncapped?
Yes, that's my recommendation.
We would just approve the uncapped?
Yes. Yes. Okay. That's what we approve.
Thank you.
Thank you. On to unfinished and new business. We did have one item pulled off the consent agenda. Item 5C, request to approve contract change orders.
Yeah, just real quick, Scott, sometimes, and this is such a small one, but just so we're in the same habit, sometimes it's just a quick sheet, because it's obviously just firming up of some quantity amounts. Maybe just a quick little spreadsheet, and you can even add that. I mean, I'd say just approve it tonight, and maybe just add that just for
We'll include
historical
a
purposes.
better narrative going forward.
So I'd make a motion to approve 5C with the addition of just, I don't know what to call it, just budgetary items added.
Motion by David, do I have a second? Second. Second by Mike. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Thank you very much. Any other unfinished or new business? Very good. Any public comment? Are there any claims that need to be pulled? Make a motion to adjourn with the approval of the trustee invoice payments and the accounts payable register.
So moved.
Motion by Renee, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by David. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. We're adjourned.